Hi everyone, welcome to our online class. I hope that everybody is healthy and safe and doing well. And because the month is what it's going to be, and I missed a lot of classes last month, I wanted to go ahead and do a free online class for you guys. And just tell you first off that I hope you're all doing well. I miss you. You wouldn't believe how much I miss your smiling faces, and thank you to those who've reached out through Facebook or emailed. We are doing well, and I hope you guys are doing well. So welcome to my craft room. It's a little bit of a mess right now. We just a little brief catch up on everything. The earthquakes that we had a couple of weeks ago, we were right on the epicenter. So my room got shook up quite a bit, and so I'm still in the process of trying to get things cleaned up and put away, but we're doing good, and I hope everybody else is doing good too. So let's go ahead and get started. I am going to make this video for the Cricut class and the silhouette class. For the silhouette class, it's for anybody from the beginner all the way to my advanced students. It is kind of a simple project, so some of you may already know how to do this, but I'm going to show you 3 ways to do this cute little basket, and at the end I'm including an assembly video if you have any questions. So let me show you what we're going to do, and then we'll just jump right into it. So the file that you got was from Paper Closet Designs. It's one of mine, and it was a free file. We're going to take that file and we're going to do it 3 different ways. So this is the first box that we're going to do, the little basket, and I'm going to show you how to do a name, make a print and cut file with somebody's name on it, or you can write Happy Easter. So that's the first project. The second project is the same little basket, only this time I'm going to show you how to make some panels to put on it that don't come with the file. So if you wanted to add the panels, and this one's more for a little girl, where this first one that we're going to do is more for a little boy. We took off the flower. Very, very simple. And then the last project we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to get rid of the bunny ears and just make it into a basket, and then you can add your flowers or whatever. So if you've missed Easter, or you want to do a little spring box or May Day box or whatever, you can do that. These little files make great Easter or spring projects. We know we're supposed to be social distancing, so they make great little door drop gifts. I've made them for my grandkids, and we're just going to fill up some candy and take them to their house and leave them on the porch and get back in the car and drive off. This really stinks not being able to see my grandkids, but great little way to spread some love at this yucky time of life. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to pause the video, and then we'll go ahead. All right, the first thing you'll need to do is we're going to need to download the file, and it is a zip file. So I put this little video together to kind of show you. I know some of you have some questions about it. So in the email that I sent and in the newsletter, both of them had a link to the file. So when you click on that link, it will bring you to this page. And it says your PCD Peep Basket Zip file. The first thing we're going to do is you can come over here to this little drop down. This is your download button. Go ahead and click on it, and it is going to download it. And it should show up right down here. Oh, I should have closed these other 2 windows. But it's right down here, PCD Peep Basket. Now I'm on Windows 10. If you are on a Mac, it'll be a little bit different, but the concept is still the same. So once you're there, you're going to go ahead and click on it and show in folder. And there it is, and it has a zipper on it, which means it's compressed or a zip file. And we're just going to unzip that file. So if I come up here to where it says Extract, Compress Folder Tools, I can click on that, or I can right-click on it and hit Extract All. Either one, doesn't matter. If you want to do it up there or hit Extract All, I'm going to get a pop-up window and go ahead and just say extract. Make sure that you notice where it's placing it. So in mine, it's going to be in my download file. And there it is. Now, if I go ahead and click on this folder, it's going to show me that I have the file in Design Space, DXF, GSD. I have some photos, SVG files, and then there is my instructions. So I didn't do a handout today with this class because we've got the instructions there, but basically it's just a template. It's not the step-by-step instructions that I'm doing in the video. If you are using Silhouette Basic or Standard Edition, you will need to either use the DXF or the GSD, and I'm going to show you that next. If you're using Silhouette, you'll want the SVG file, and if you're using Cricut, you'll want the Design Space. So at this point, I'm going to stop the video, and we're going to, and then we'll continue on in just a minute. Once you have your file downloaded and unzipped, you're ready to open it up in your software. So for this first one, I'm going to show you how to do it if you're working with Silhouette Standard or Basic Edition. Excuse me. You're going to come up here to your file folder. It's the open folder, and click on it, and you'll get a pop-up window. You need to navigate to where you saved your file. If you'll remember, mine was in my downloads. I'm going to go ahead and click on downloads, and there's my Paper Closet Designs Peep basket folder. So I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to open that file. And there are all the different files that I told you about at the beginning. So with the Basic Edition, you'll need to open up either DXF or GSD. I usually work with GSD. That is the original file format that Silhouette used to use when they very first opened and started making designs. And so it's a good one to use. DXF will do the same exact thing though. I'm going to go ahead and click on that GSD. There's my Peep basket. I'm going to click on it once and go ahead and hit OK. And then it will load it and bring it into my software. Now, one of the things with GSD is, and you haven't done anything wrong, is it always opens it up on a letter size paper. That's just the way that file works. And so unless you're going to cut it out on a letter size, you're going to want to change your mat or your media. So I'm going to come over here to number 3 where it says media size, hit my drop down, and choose 12 by 12. And there is my file. So now let me show you, if I were to, the way that a GSD and a DXF come in is it is not grouped. So if I were to click on this hole in my handle, you'll notice that I get a bounding box around just the hole. So I need to group my images. It's the same with the eyeball on the little bunny. It's the same with the hole in the basket. The only thing that is different is the perforation lines. If I click on the perforation lines, they are still grouped. Just an FYI, it does not apply to this file, but it might apply to a different type of file that you open up. If this file, say, had a box and a lid or 2 pieces with perforation lines, if I were to click on the perforation lines, all of them are going to be grouped together. So I would have the perforation lines in the box and the perforation lines on the lid, and they would need to be ungrouped. But because this one, they are just in the box, we're fine. I hope that doesn't confuse you. I just want to give you some information so if you go on and do another file, it's there. All right, so the first thing that I need to do is my handle. So I'm going to hold my Shift key, and I'm going to click on the circles inside, or the little holes. Now, if I wanted to cut this out without the holes and maybe staple my handle, I could just delete them at this point, but I want to use them. And I'm going to, still holding my shift key, I'm going to click on the handle, and now I'm going to group those all together. So I can come up here to my group, selected shapes, click on it, and that is all one piece now. So I can move it over here. I'm going to do the same thing with my bunny, my Peep. I'm going to hold my shift key. I'm going to click on one eye, and on the second eye, and on the bunny itself. Now I clicked on the line each time holding the shift key. This time, instead of clicking on the group key up here, or the group tool, I'm just going to right click on my mouse and come over here to group. Both of them do it. Whoops. That's because I still had stuff selected. So let me do that again. Hold shift key, click on the eye, and on the bunny, right click and group. Now, the reason I use the right click is because my hand is usually already on the mouse. You can use whichever one you want. It doesn't matter, they both do the same. So you can right click, or you can come up here and hit your group. I'm going to move this little bunny over to the side just a little bit. Before I group all of my perforation lines with my basket, there's one thing that I want to do. This is an optional step, doesn't have to be done, but it kind of saves some confusion at the end. So I need to click on my perforation lines. I'm going to get that border bounding box around it. And now I'm going to right click, and down here where it says bring to front, I want to click on bring to front. Like I said, this is an optional step, but if you don't do it, when you go ahead and fill everything, it's going to look like you've lost your perforation lines. You haven't, they're still there, but when I fill them with color, it'll look like they're gone unless you bring that to the front. So now what I want to do is I want to group this whole basket piece. So I can hold my shift and click on each individual piece, or I can click up here and just drag across and make sure that I have a bounding box around the outside of the basket, around the perforation marks, and on those little holes. Now I'm going to right click and group again, and I'm going to drag it over here. The next step is our final step before we get ready to cut, and it also is an optional step, and that is filling your pieces with color. In order to cut, your images do not have to be filled with color. You can just cut them out the way that they are. But if you like to have color in them so that you know which pieces are green and which pieces are pink, you can go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this over here just a little bit, and I'm going to select my handle and my box, and I'm going to come up here to my fill tool. There's the drop down, and I'm just going to fill this with green. It really doesn't matter what color you want to fill it with, but just pick a color, and there you go. So now my baskets are filled. Let's come back over here. This full piece of my Peep is actually going to go in the back. So I'm going to fill it. I'm going to click on it to select it. Come over here, and I'm going to fill it with black. Now this piece that is completely grouped is my Peep, and it's the front of the Peep. So I'm going to fill it, come over here, do the drop down, and I'm going to fill it with green, or excuse me, with pink. And what will happen is when I cut this out, it's going to cut those eye pieces out, and then I'll layer it over top of the black, and that will keep me from having to glue on two little tiny eyes and maybe getting them lost and making a mess. And I will show that part to you in the assembly video. So there is my little bunnies. This is the banner piece, and you can just cut it straight out of white, or later I'm going to show you how to turn it into a print and cut. So for right now, let's not worry too much about this piece. You can drag it over here, If you want to fill it with white, you can, totally optional. And then you have your 2 flower pieces. So I'm going to fill my flower with orange. Again, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to fill my little inside circle with purple. All right, at this point, this file is completely ready to use. And you can even save it as a silhouette file so that the next time that you want to use it, it's ready to go. And I'm going to show you how to do that, just very simple. This is something we've done in class, but all you would do is you would come up to File, Save As, Save to Library. You're going to get a window that pops up, and you can change it down here. It says Peep Basket Studio 3. You can leave it as that if you want to. Go ahead and click OK. And now it is saved in your library. So the next time that you want to make the basket, you will not need to open it in the GSD or the DX file. So I'm going to stop the video at this point, and then we'll move on to showing you how to do it with an SVG. Now let me show you how easy it is to open an SVG file if you're using Silhouette Designer Edition or above. If you've been sitting on the fence wondering if you should upgrade or not, perhaps this will maybe confirm that you should or give you a reason why you shouldn't. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back up here to my File Open and click on it. And it's going to take me right back to where I last uploaded or downloaded a file. So I'm still in the GSD folder. I want to come back up to the regular folder, the Peep Basket. I'm going to click on SVGs, and then I'm going to select the SVG file, Peep Basket, and click Open. And it's going to go ahead and open it up in a new window. Now, most of my files open up on 11.5 by 11.5 inch paper, and that's just simply because people that are using other software besides Silhouette, sometimes they have a hard time reading a full 12 by 12. So you can cut it out on this, or you can come over to your media size and hit Custom and do your 12 by 12, and there it is. Doesn't matter either way. Okay, so the biggest difference with an SVG compared to a GSD or a DXF is that when the file opens, it comes in and everything is grouped, everything is colored, and it's ready to go. The only thing that you'll need to do is ungroup the image. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it somewhere. You'll see that I have one bounding box around everything. So I'm going to right click and ungroup. And now my images are ready to cut. So at this point, if I were to make that first basket that is just the way it is, the purple one, all I'm going to do is go to my send window. And I can do it by simple. You'll notice everything has the red outline on it. And I would just move things on and off the mat and then cut them. So I would slide all of my green on the mat, slide the other colors off, and then hit my send button and cut it. I'm not hooked up to my machine right now. I didn't want to completely slow my computer down, so I haven't hooked up, but I would just hit my send button, load my mat, load my machine, and go ahead and cut. You'll want to make sure that up here on material type, you have the cardstock that you're going to use, and then your tool, either your automatic blade, or if you're using an older machine, or a ratchet blade on the new machine, you'll want to make sure that that is checked to ratchet. And then just go ahead and hit send, and it's going to cut. I'm going to very quickly go back to the design window and show you on the GSD that it's the same thing. If I go to send, I'm not going to separate it all out. but it's the same thing. So it's going to cut exactly the same, even though they look a little bit different. They measure the same and they cut the same. Let's go back to our design and go back to our SVG file, and it actually doesn't matter whichever one you're going to work with. And I want to show you how to change and make some modifications to your file now that you've got it in and you're ready to go. So if you'll remember, on the first basket, or the second basket, excuse me, I created embellishment panels, and they're super, super simple to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two pieces, my handle and my basket, and slide it off. I'm going to come over here and get my shapes tool, and I'm just going to click and drag the rectangle. So if you missed that, I came over here, grabbed my rectangle tool, clicked and dragged across to make a rectangle. Now I know that these boxes are 2.5 inches. Each side is 2.5 inches. So I want to make my panels just a little bit smaller. I'm going to leave my padlock opened up here. I'm going to change the width to 2.25. If I hit my tab button, it's going to automatically take me to the height. And I'm going to do 2.25 again and hit enter. And it's going to shrink that rectangle right down there so that it makes a perfect size for a little embellishment panel. I need 2 of those, one for the front and one for the back. So I'm just going to make a copy of that. And now I need 2 more for the sides, but this time I need them with a hole. So I'm going to make a copy of this one, and all I'm doing is I'm hitting my control button and my down arrow to make a copy. And now I'm going to bring this little rectangle over, and I'm just going to lay it right there on the side of my box. I'm going to come over here to my shapes tool, and I'm going to get my ellipse tool and draw an oval. With my oval selected, I'm going to come back up here to my scale tool. I'm going to leave the padlock opened again. I'm going to highlight where it says width and type 0.20. Hit my tab over to height and hit 0.20 and enter. And there is my little circle for the side of my box, or for the side of my embellishment. I'm going to drag it right over here and place it right on top of that circle. I am going to zoom in a little bit so you can really see what I'm doing. So I want to click on that circle. I'm going to click right on the line so that I'm getting the circle. You'll know that it's selected because I have the bounding box around it. And I'm just going to use my arrow keys to place it right on top of the circle on my box, if that makes sense. Now I'm going to hold my shift key and I'm going to click on the line of the rectangle that I just drew. So I have a bounding box around my rectangle and I have a bounding box around my circle. You can let go of the shift key, right click, and group, except when I did that, I lost it all. So we're going to do it again. I'm going to hit that. Click on this outline of the circle and the outline of the box. Right, I may need to move my box over. There we go. That was actually easier. So just slide your box over and then let's select those and group it. Again, you can either right click or hit your group tool up there. I'm going to come up here and hit fit to window. There is my side panel box. And I actually need to rotate that. So I'm going to come over here to my transform panel, hit rotate, which is this backward circle. And I'm going to do it at 270 degrees. Oops, has to be selected. And that's just going to turn it so that the circle is facing the top. And the reason that I do that is so if the paper that I'm cutting has a pattern that runs, you know, vertical up and down, that all my pieces are straight. I'm going to hold my control, hit my over button, or my right arrow button to make a copy. And there is the 4 panels that I will need to add to my basket. And I could go ahead and select those and fill them with the color. Again, that's totally optional. But now they're ready to be cut out for my basket. Okay, the next thing that I want to do, I'm going to slide these over, and I'm going to actually make a copy of this basket. So I'm going to right click and copy, and then right click and paste. You can also hit your duplicate key up here or your control with your arrow button, whatever you need to make a copy. I'm going to slide this over here. And for this one, you'll remember on the flower basket, we got rid of the bunny ears. And it is so easy to do. All I'm going to do is double click on this. And what happens is I get my edit points, and I'm going to delete my edit points. So I'm going to click on this right edit point right here at the bottom of the bunny ear. And you'll notice that I get a little line that draws from this edit point to that edit point. Over here in my edit point panel, I'm going to click on delete point. And I'm just going to keep deleting points to get rid of that bunny ear. And at first it's going to look kind of funny, like I'm doing some crazy things. But every time I hit a delete point, it's going to get rid of one of those edit points. You want to work from left to right because that's the way that they connect. So that's why I started on that left-hand side. And now I just have a straight line across and no more bunny ears. I'll go ahead and get my selection tool. So that's how you get rid of a part of an image that you don't necessarily like. So now I have 2 baskets. I have this basket that has my bunny ears that I can layer my little bunny on. Or I have this basket if I decided I didn't want to do an Easter basket and I just wanted a little basket without the bunny ears. The panels will fit either side, either basket, and the handle will fit either basket. So at this point, I'm ready to go ahead and cut that out. I want to show you one more thing that we're going to do, and that is I want to turn this little label into a print and cut label. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to copy. So I'm going to right click and copy. And then I'm going to open up a new window. And I'm going to right click and paste. The reason I opened this up in a new window is just because this is going to be my print and cut window. And you don't have to. You could have done it in that first window. So next, I want to come over here and get my text tool. Click on my text tool, bring your mouse to your mat, and click once. You're going to get your flashing blue cursor, which means now you can type. So you can type somebody's name, you could type Happy Easter, think spring, whatever you want. I've already done one for my little grandson Jackson, so now I'm going to do one for my granddaughter, and her name is Emmy. So I'm going to type E-N-M-I-E. And click off of it. And then I'm going to click on it one time. If I come over here, I can click on my text style panel. and I can find a script that I like. And I didn't tell you guys to get any particular script, or excuse me, any particular font, because I just wanted you to use whatever you've got. But I'm going to use this one here. This is called the, I don't even know how to pronounce it, Samela script. And it changes my font to that script. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to weld it. Now, if you were using a like Times New Roman or Arial, a block font, you probably would not want to weld it. I'm also going to right click and group it so that everything can stay grouped together. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and do my drop down. And I'm going to fill it with a color. This is for my little granddaughter, so I think we're going to go pink. And I'm also going to come to the next tool, which is our line color window. I'm going to hit that drop down and change it to no line color, which is that little hash mark right there. That means I don't want an outside line. Now what I have to do is just rotate this a little tiny bit, size it so that it fits inside my little label. It's still too big. I'm going to just size it a little bit more, rotate it, just play around with it until you get the look that you want. And I don't know why it did not take that time. Oh, because it's rotating my block. To make that just a hair smaller, maybe rotate it a little bit more. And I'm just clicking on those little boxes around my bounding box and dragging them to make it fit. You could change the font size, but I think it's easier to just do it that way. And there is my little tag that says Emmy. So I'm going to select both of those, right click and group, and that one is ready to be printed. Now I want to do another one that is a multicolored one. I'm going to come back over here and copy this little label again. Come back to this one and paste it. And now I'm going to type another name. So I'm going to come over here and get my text tool, bring it to my mat, click down, and I'm going to type, this time I'm going to type Rick Glenn. It's another granddaughter of mine, except it's in. Okay, I'm going to click off of it. I'm going to click back on, and this time I'm going to use my Abigail font. And I'm going to really squish that down. It's going to need to be really small because the Y is going to hang over. I'm just going to squish it down really pretty small. Okay, I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. Obviously, it's telling me that I don't know how to spell my own granddaughter's name. That's why the blue squiggly line. We're going to ignore that. Right click, ungroup. And now I'm going to color each one of those letters a different color. So I'm going to hit the B. And let's do that one pink. Let's click on the R. I'm going to hold my shift key. I'm going to hit the K and the Y. And I'm going to do my drop down up here in the fill panel. This time I'm going to do that pale yellow. I'm going to hold the E, the L, and the N. I'm holding my shift key and clicking on each one of those letters separately. Whoops. Do my drop down. This time I think I'll do purple. And then I'm going to hold my shift key, click on the C and the N. And I think I'll do that pink again. I'm going to select all of those, just click and drag. I'm going to come over here to the line color, do the drop down, no line color. And while those are all selected, I'm going to go ahead and right click and group. Come up here to this box with the plus sign in it, that's my fit to window, so that I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to drag Brooklyn and put her in the middle of that little, label. And again, just kind of play with it however you want to make it work. There you go. And then select it and group. One of the things that you can do, and I should have told you this before I grouped them, so I'm going to ungroup this one too, is if you will click on the label, the outside of the label, not the name, holding my shift key and doing both of those, and come over here to your line color, and let's just choose that red right there. If I leave it at black, when I do the print and cut, it's actually going to print that black line. If I do the red color, it won't. So now I can select them and group. Select this one and group. And now I'm ready to set this up as a print and cut. So I'm going to come over here to my page setting panel. And the first thing I'm going to do is go to media size and change that to a letter, because I don't have a 12 by 12 printer. The next thing I'll do is I'm going to come over here to my page setup and turn on the registration marks. So I clicked on the registration tab and then I clicked on, and it gave me these registration marks. So now I'm just going to make sure that these are inside the red line and off the registration marks. And if this is going a little too fast for you and you don't understand it, print and cut is a class that I do over and over and over a bunch of times because it's a really popular one. So don't freak out if you don't know how to do this. Don't panic. Just go ahead and cut out the little label and handwrite or stamp or whatever. And then when we get back to having classes, we'll do some print and cut classes. Okay, anyway, once this is ready to go, we're going to come over here to send. And this time, you're going to want to make sure that we're cutting by line color. So I'm going to change it to line color. You'll get these little swatches. We want to make sure that the red is the only one that is checked and not the no color. So now it's ready to go. So I'm going to come over here to my send to printer and I'm going to click it on it. And my printer pop-up window is going to show up. And I'm going to want to make sure that whichever printer you're using is highlighted. And then hit print. I'm not going to do this part because I've actually already done it. But you would hit print. And then when it's printed, you're going to lay your paper on your mat exactly like it's shown here. And then you'll make sure that your red is checked, you've got cardstock, and you've picked the correct tool. Then you're going to hit send, and what it'll do is your machine is going to cut out these labels, but not the letters. And then they'll be all ready to go and be printed on, or excuse me, put on your little basket.
All right, once you have all your pieces cut out, then you're going to be ready to assemble it. So I'm going to try and show you how to do this. This is what you'll have. You'll have either a blank label or the one that you've done with the print and cut. For this project, we're going to do that print and cut one that I did. So I'll set that aside. You'll have two of your peeps. You'll have the black peep and the pink peep, and you're just going to layer those together. And you can use either a tape runner or glue, whichever one you want. Don't look at my little black piece. I cut out a little corner, but instead of cutting the whole thing, we're just going to use it. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some tape on it. Now I'm doing this super fast so that you're not bored, and you probably will already know how to do this, but we're just going to layer our little Peep, and then the black is cut out so his eyes pop through. And then you'll have your flower. So you're going to have your flower and your centerpiece, and that one I am actually going to just do a little dab of glue right there and stick it in. Oh, and I probably put way too much on there. And then if you want to, you could bend up the leaves if you wanted to on your flowers, the petals, or whatever. That will dry clear, so it's going to be okay. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put together our basket. So here's your handle. It's got the little holes in it. And then here are the panels that we made ourselves and cut out. So you're just going to take your tape runner, or again your glue, whichever, and match up those little circles as best you can. They don't have to be absolutely perfect. And it doesn't matter if you do the sides first or the top first. Really doesn't matter. You do want to make sure that you get those corners down pretty good. I'm going really fast, so mine are not perfect. And that's just going to stick right in there. And then this one. Okay, and then once you get those glued on, then you can go ahead and start folding your tabs and your sides down. And everything just gets folded inside towards the inside of the basket. And then with either glue or tape, you're going to adhere these inside pieces, these flaps, to the inside of your box. Now normally I would use glue, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to go ahead and use my tape runner. And my battery is saying I'm low, so I'm going to try and hurry and do this really quick. But I have found that if I do my embellishment panels first, it's a little bit easier than to fold the box and then glue on those embellishment panels. So I like to put the panels on first, and then I'm going to grab some brads and add that handle. And I just am using these little gold brads that I got at, I think I got them at Walmart. You can probably pick them up at Target, or who knows, even Smith's. So you need 2 of those. And if you don't have brads and you don't want to run to the store, you could always just glue this on here. And the way that I've made it is so that you can either do it on the outside or the inside. It doesn't matter which way you're doing it. On this one, I'm going to put the little handle on the outside just because I like that green over the little panels that we've done. And then open it up. And then again on this side, we'll open it up. So now you have your box with your handle. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our little Peep bunny and adhere him to the front where the cutout is. And he matches up really well. And then I'm going to take my little Happy Easter label, and you can glue it on there, or you can use some foam pop dots, excuse me, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm just adding some foam pop dots to the back of that. I'm going to put him right on there. And then I'm going to take my little flower that is, see, it's already starting to dry. You can see the glue a little bit, but it'll be dry. And put a foam pop dot on the back there. And then you could put it anywhere. You could put it up here on your bunny or over here. I kind of like it right down there. And that's all there is to this little basket. It's super easy to do. And then you can just fill it up with whatever you want, some little candy or whatever. Go do a little doorbell drop to your neighbors, grandkids, or something fun. Anyway, there you go.